Yes? Start.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Ishavasya sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Magrudhakasya Svidhanam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhinam Avitryavatu Om Chodayitri Sunrutanam Chetanti Sunatinam Yajñam Dadhe Saraswati Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Sarvetra Sukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuyat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you.
I'd prepared a lot, but I won't take too much time.
Yes.
We have a tradition on our campus to start with Sanskrit. That was my grandfather's tradition.
Right.
I have never done it before. I will try today for the first time. Adya Somaya Vidya Viharasya Itihase Ativaha Sundaraha Divasaha Asti. Today is a wonderful day in the history of Somaya Vidya Vihar. Adya Somaya Vidya Viharasya Bhumihi Dhanya Jata. Today our land, our earth is blessed. Tritiya Varam, for the third time. Adya Sri Dalai Lama Mahabhagaha Somaya Vidya Viharam Agachanti. Today he has come here. I will now Aduna Aham Angla Bhasham Padami. Some mistakes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. We are indeed blessed. Somaya Vidya Vihar was founded in 1959 by my grandfather to create a place of learning. And the name he gave it was Vihar, borrowing from the Buddhist word, and a Vidya Vihar. He bought a place of land between Kurla and Ghatkopar because he thought that he wanted to create a campus of learning, a place where any person of any means could find education in any study. And that study should not be limited only to those who pursue degrees, and neither is education limited to the four walls of a classroom. Today, we are here with His Holiness, giving us education and learning. My father articulated that 25 years ago with the establishment of the KJ Somaya Bharatiya Sanskriti Peetham, the KJ Somaya Center of Buddhist Studies, and the KJ Somaya Center of Jain Studies. He thought and with interfaith dialogue, with a lot of work with Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Sikhism, and the Parsi religion. We wanted to...
Zoroastrianism.
Parsi, Zoroastrianism. Yeah, I said Parsi. Sorry. We are dreaming of now creating a whole new further institution to house these activities. We've applied to become a university, and once we get that status, our dream is to integrate a lot of this learning into our education. We believe education should be holistic. It should teach the skill it wants to teach. It should teach its current fundamentals as well as its timeless essentials. We also think sports, we also think interests should be pursued. But we also think that education should teach to tame one's mind. As Krishna tells Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena ta gruhyate, that it is through the study and discipline that one cultivates the ability to calm one's mind. I will end with a quote from the Dhammapad that Sahasamapi chevacha anatha padasamhita ekam atha padam seyo yam sutva upasammati. We can hear thousands of words without meaning. Better than those thousands of words is to hear one, hearing which we achieve peace. And here we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mrs. Somaya will give his speech. Mrs. Harinakshi.
Thank you. Thank you. So indeed, I'm very, very happy once more to his institution during his father's, isn't it? Your father? I mean, your father. I think when I came here, you see that. So I know his sort of father's time. I know. A wonderful person, really. No more. It's quite natural. Human life go that way. New phase come, old phase disappear. So the important is, while we alive, our life should be meaningful. So that at the time of our death, there's no regret. I use my life for meaningful. Meaningful means not just making money or fame, helping others, serving others. We are social animals. So each individual have the responsibility or moral responsibility to help other human brothers, sisters. So then your life become meaningful. Like this institution, I think really helping a lot of people, not only just one style of education, but more variety, is really useful. So whether students utilize this knowledge properly or not, that's up to them. But you provided, I think, opportunity or facility. Wonderful. Thank you. So now, this is now 4 days here, mainly some sort of explanation about Buddha Dharma. So at the beginning, this is the I usually call the first, or is it the I think first generation of Buddhist student. I think the Pali tradition. So at the beginning, Mangalam Sutra recitation of Mangalam Sutra. Okay. 그것도 신기하네. Mangalam Sutra. Okay, Mangalam Sutra. Yes. So recite Mangalam Sutra. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samya Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samya Sambuddhassa. Bhagavato Arahato.
Evam me sutang ekang samayan bhagava Savatyang viharati jetavane anatha pindikasya arame atako anyatara devata abhikantaya ratya abhikantavanna kevala kappang jetavanang obhasitva yena bhagavate upasankamitva Bhagavantang abhivaditva ekamantang atthasi ekamantang titako sa devata bhagavantang gathaya ajjabhasi bahudeva manussacha mangalani achintayung akankamana suthanang brihi mangalamuttamang Asevana cha balanang panditanang cha sevana puja cha pujaniyanang etang mangalam uttamang bahu sacanca sippanca vinayo cha susikkito subhasita cha yavaca etang mangalam uttamang Patirupadesa vasocha pupecha gata punyata at sammapanidhicha etang mangala muttamang bahu sacanca sippanca vinayocha susikkito subhasita cha yavaca etang mangala muttamang Patirupadesa vasocha pupecha kata punyata atta sammapanidhicha etang mangala muttamang Mata pitu upattanang puttadarassa sanggaho anakula ca kammanta etang mangala muttamang Arati virati papa majjapana ca sanyamo appamado ca dhammesu etang mangala muttamang Tapoca brahmacharyanca arya sacchana dasanang nibbana sacchikiriyaca etang mangala muttamang Buddhassa loka dhammehi cittang yassana kampati asokang birajang kemang etang mangala muttamang etadisani kattvana sabbattam aparajita sabbatta sotting gaccanti tam te sang mangala muttamanti.
Thank you. 다 Heart Sutra Sanskrit 생애 영어로 가. Oh, good. Already done. Then perhaps Pindu Chudung 거요. Pindu Chudung die Sawadinal.
Shokram Indu. Shokram, it doesn't have any page numbers, unfortunately.
One more. Okay,
Right after the Heart
so look,
Sutra.
in that booklet, Kasa, what page? 8 and 9. One of text I composed.
2, 3 पेज नंबर 8 और 9 पर ये दिया गया है और हिंदी में 10 पेज नंबर 10 पर आप देख सकते हैं.
English Yoruba. का
अंग्रेजी में 8 और
I think most of you here, I think English speaking. Then read English kasade. Page kore. But English there. The praising 17th Nalanda Masters. Okay. So now,
ये है ना 17.
and then also people in outside. So those people who prefer English, then read English. Then those prefer Hindi, but the Hindi also here.
जो अभी आप लोगों को जो श्री नालंदा के 17 महापंडितों की प्रार्थना श्रद्धा तय इस तरह से दिया हुआ है, तो आप लोग देख लीजिए. और अंग्रेजी में भी है और हिंदी में भी, दोनों भाषाओं में दिया गया है. शायद अभी अंग्रेजी में इसका उच्चारण करेंगे तो सभी लोग देखें.
The reason why I composed this, what's it, Kasa, praise survey. Now I explain. Actually, you see, they wrote in the Kasada, Shukdi. That around the law, the Ranya. Tak, the law. Lodgings. That issue de Tingdu Zamni Chen dir Tsenritan, Truje Mobo Yarke, Satur Chinde, Denan Dunzi Nami Tukchi Kam dir. Rangre Sanji Jinjuanam, Sanji Chuzula, Shin Taba Toba Shukoga, Shindu Cheves.
So at the end of this 17 praise to the 17 Nalanda Masters, His Holiness has written that at this time when the world has so much distraction from scientific inventions and so forth, and also weapons and others, we need to develop a faith based on, it's very crucial for us to develop faith based on reason.
The English translation to Gorbe. So basically, it's a rough translation, something like Buddhism, Buddha Dharma, now more than 2,500 years, now almost 600 years, 2,600 years. I usually call those people, whether Indian or Tibetan or Nepalese or Chinese or Japanese or Korean, Burmese, Thai, or all this so on. You see, all those Buddhists in Buddhist countries, we should be 21st century Buddhist. That means, you see, Buddhist faith with the fuller knowledge about the whole system of Buddha Dharma. traditionally, we simply recite, you see, few sort of text and a few prayer and a close eye. Buddham Shanam Gacchami. That's not sufficient. Quite often, you see, Tibetan, also some Chinese, and also some Indians, you see, they recite Buddham Shanam Gacchami. Then, and after that, when I ask, what is Buddha? Most cases they say, we don't know. So many Tibetan also, you see, consider themselves as a Buddhist. But simply like the tradition, way of life, without knowing the real Buddhist teaching. So now, we should be Buddhists with fuller knowledge. Buddha, something really as a respected person. Why? In order to judge the person, his behavior, his behavior similar, his sort of daily conduct, and mainly his knowledge. Knowledge, examine his sort of talk, his teaching. And so, when we examine the person is truly, what kind of person? We cannot judge the person on the basis of their face, or beautiful face, or nice face. We can't say that. We have to examine his knowledge and his experience, in our spiritual case, his deeper experiences. So that also, now, we have to judge about his sort of expression, his teaching. Then we know, that person, quite remarkable, because, you see, when we examine his teaching, something, intellectual level also, you see, quite marvelous, fantastic. And then also, you see, these teachings implement the real sort of transformation about our emotion take place. So therefore, that teacher is quite reliable. So in order to know Buddha, you have to know about Dharma. Without knowing Dharma, difficult to understand the Buddha, the quality of Buddha. Buddha himself, you see, through the Sangha, he practiced originally like us. Just ordinary, very, very ordinary sentient being. Then through practice, centuries, from century to centuries, he practiced then his own sort of lifetime, like 6-year fasting practice, meditation. Through that way, he achieved enlightenment. So Buddha himself, once he developed the certain sort of spiritual experience with fuller knowledge, then when level is certain level, then he become Sangha. Then through practice continuously, then eventually become Buddha. So therefore, so now, yes, translate now. Yes.
और धीरे धीरे हम नष्ट हो जाते हैं। तो ये जीवन जीने की या जीवन की एक प्रक्रिया है। जब हम जीवित होते हैं तो उस समय हमें अपने जीवन को अर्थपूर्ण बनाना चाहिए, और मृत्यु के समय जब हमारी मृत्यु नज़दीक आ जाए, मृत्यु आ जाए, उस समय पश्चाताप करने की जरूरत नहीं होती है। मैं भी अपने जीवन को अर्थपूर्ण मानता हूँ, इसलिए नहीं कि मैं काफ़ी प्रसिद्ध या काफ़ी कुछ मैंने प्राप्त किया है, इस वजह से नहीं, बल्कि इस वजह से कि मैं काफ़ी खुश हूँ, प्रसन्न हूँ, इसलिए मैं अपने जीवन को अर्थपूर्ण मानता हूँ। इसी प्रकार से सभी लोगों को एक दूसरों की मदद करनी चाहिए, एक दूसरों का सहयोग करना चाहिए। अगर हम इस प्रकार से एक दूसरे की मदद और सहयोग करते हैं, तब जाकर के जान सकते हैं कि हमारा जीवन अर्थपूर्ण है। यह संस्थान भी, जो कि सोमाया संस्थान है, काफ़ी लोगों की मदद करता आ रहा है। यहाँ बहुत सारे शिक्षक लोग हैं, यहाँ बहुत सारे छात्र लोग हैं जो कि पढ़ाई करते हैं, उसके बाद दूसरों को लाभ पहुँचाएंगे, एक दूसरे की मदद करेंगे। तो धर्म के बारे में जो ये कार्यक्रम आयोजित किया गया है, यहाँ पर कुछ वक्तव्य हैं। तो मैं सबसे पहले हमेशा यही कहता हूँ कि जो बौद्ध धर्म की परंपरा है, उसमें पाली परंपरा श्रेष्ठ है, अर्थात सबसे पहले इसकी शुरुआत हुई, इसलिए पाली जो महामंगल सूत्र का पाठ किया गया। और उसके बाद जो नालंदा के 17 विद्वान के बारे में परम पावन जी ने रचना की है, उसके बारे में कि इस ग्रंथ की रचना करने का एक मुख्य उद्देश्य या कार्य ये रहा है कि आज के युग में हम लोगों ने विज्ञान के युग में बहुत सारी विकास किया है, लेकिन उस विकास के अंदर भी हम किस प्रकार से जी सकें या किस प्रकार से अपने जीवन को सार्थक बना सकें, इस वजह से इस ग्रंथ की रचना की। आज से लगभग 2500 वर्ष पूर्व भगवान बुद्ध का धर्म इस युग में आया, अर्थात भगवान बुद्ध पैदा हुए। तो मैं अक्सर यही कहता हूँ चाहे वो भारतीय हों, तिब्बती हों, जर्मनी के हों, अन्य देश कहीं के भी लोग हों, उनसे मैं कहता हूँ कि पहले आप धर्म के बारे में अच्छे से जानें, धर्म को अच्छे से समझें। जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं कि हम लोग अभी 21वीं शताब्दी में हैं और 21वीं शताब्दी के बौद्ध हैं। तो 21वीं शताब्दी के बौद्ध होने का मतलब ये है कि हम जो रीति रिवाज है उनको ज़्यादा न महत्व देते हुए धर्म की विशेषताएं क्या हैं, धर्म क्या है, इसको ठीक तरह से समझ सकें। तब जाकर के हम 21वीं सदी के बौद्ध धर्मावलंबी कहलाएंगे। तो चाहे तिब्बती हों, चीनी हों, यहाँ तक कि कुछ भारतीय लोगों को भी मैंने देखा है कि वो अपना जीवन या अपने धर्म की जो प्रक्रिया है या धर्म का अभ्यास है ज़्यादातर पूजा पाठ के रूप में बिताते रहते हैं। तो मैं उनसे कहता हूँ कि इस प्रकार से पूजा पाठ में जीवन को गुजारें और समझें कि वास्तविक धर्म है तो ये वास्तविक धर्म नहीं है। इसलिए आपको अच्छी तरह से धर्म को जानना चाहिए। केवल ऐसा ही नहीं है कि अन्य देशों में है, तिब्बती लोगों में भी या तिब्बती जो धर्म अनुयायी हैं उनमें भी बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि पूजा पाठ को महत्व तो ज़्यादा देते हैं। तो उनसे भी मैं अनुरोध करता हूँ कि जो धर्म का सार है, जो धर्म है, उसको समझना चाहिए। तो हम सभी को अगर अच्छा एक बौद्ध बनना है तो बौद्ध धर्म के बारे में पूर्ण ज्ञान को जानना चाहिए, और किसी व्यक्ति या गुरु की पहचान करने के लिए उसको उसके व्यवहार को जानना जरूरत होती है कि अमुक व्यक्ति अच्छा है कि नहीं, उसके व्यवहार को समझना चाहिए, उसके ज्ञान को समझना चाहिए। और उसके ज्ञान को तभी समझा जा सकता है जब उसके व्यवहार को समझें, उसकी शिक्षाओं को समझें, उसकी जांच पड़ताल करनी चाहिए। किसी व्यक्ति को चेहरे को देखकर नहीं कहा जा सकता कि अमुक व्यक्ति काफ़ी विद्वान है या काफ़ी अच्छा है। उसकी शिक्षाओं को समझना चाहिए और उसकी जांच पड़ताल करनी चाहिए। और जब तक हम उसकी शिक्षाओं को नहीं जानेंगे, जब तक उसकी अभिव्यक्ति को नहीं समझेंगे, तब तक हम उसकी सच्चाई को नहीं जान सकते। इसलिए अगर कोई भी शिक्षक कोई भी शिक्षक हो और उसके बारे में जानना चाहते हैं तो उसके अनुभव को समझना चाहिए कि उस जो अनुभव के अनुसार कह रहा है, अपनी शिक्षाओं को दे रहा है, अनुभव के अनुसार दे रहा है, तो ज़्यादा अच्छी शिक्षाएं होती हैं। अनुभव के द्वारा कही गई शिक्षाएं कहीं ज़्यादा गंभीर होती हैं। तो बौद्ध धर्म को जानने के लिए हमें बौद्ध धर्म की जो विशेषताएं हैं उसको समझना चाहिए। जब हम बौद्ध धर्म की विशेषताओं को समझेंगे तब हम भगवान बुद्ध को समझ सकते हैं, धर्म को समझ सकते हैं। तो भगवान बुद्ध ने खुद ही अपनी कठोर मेहनत करके 6 साल तक तप किया, उसके बाद भी आजीवन तक वो अभ्यास में लगे रहे और धर्म का अभ्यास करते रहे, दूसरों को कराते रहे। उसी प्रकार से उनका संग भी भगवान बुद्ध की शिक्षाओं में संलग्न रहा, उनका अभ्यास करता रहा। बुद्ध ने खुद अनुभव करके ये सारी चीज़ें प्राप्त की हैं। उन्होंने 6 साल तक कठोर तपस्या करने के बाद ही उन्हें बुद्धत्व प्राप्त हुआ। मेहनत करने के बाद ही उन्होंने इस बुद्धत्व रूपी फल को प्राप्त किया।
다디 샴데 신도 개체에서 수를 태송기 권에 심을 딱신 째디 규선 초하당 이게
근데 배우면 들어.
이게도 인데 규선 통네 시럽게 초다 째베 대박게 와라 다 저저 늘런들데 다 하나 저기 다 측디도 내가요 자 술을 들마
reading from the
if you because I would like to express this through my broken English or sometimes I give warning my sort of English vocabulary very limited, no proper grammar. So sometimes my broken English is may carry wrong meaning. So when people listen Dalai Lama's broken English, be careful. Okay. So now the essence is when we examine anything, including teaching, we must unbiased open our mind and unbiasedly then investigate. In order to carry thorough investigation, you need some level of skepticism. Skepticism brings question. Questions bring the enthusiasm to investigate. Through investigate, you get answer. So right from the beginning, you accept, oh, yes, fantastic. Then no ground for thorough investigation. So therefore, the open mind, at the same time, skepticism, unbiased, examine objectively. So for that, then these great masters of Nalanda institution, they even sort of examine Buddha's own word, thoroughly investigate. Or if you accept literally this Buddha's teaching, or it contradicts with reasons, so we cannot accept literally. Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, all these, particularly Madhyamika philosopher, you see, they carry that way. That also is Buddha himself. You see, express, oh, my follower should not teach, my follower, bhikshus and scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So that's Buddhism in general, particularly the Nalanda tradition. That's the Nalanda tradition. So, like Nagarjuna, as I mentioned earlier, so like Nagarjuna, these, you see, even examine Buddha's own word. So these things, these shows, you see, Buddhism in general, particularly Nalanda tradition, is very much emphasis reasons. So for that reason, these texts wrote by 17 Nalanda masters, very, very helpful. Although these texts give me, when I was very young, 7, 8 years old, these texts, according to our tradition, we have to learn by memorize some of these texts. Not all, of course, cannot. Some of these texts you have to memorize, learn by heart. So this text really gives me a lot of trouble. So now, as a gratitude to those sort of masters whose writing really gives me a lot of sort of burden. Now later I found extremely useful. So therefore I compose this prayer, this praise, like that. Yushi.
तो जैसा कि इस ग्रंथ में लिखा हुआ है कि जब भी हम किसी भी शिक्षा को स्वीकार करें तो उसको अच्छी तरह से जांचना चाहिए। जांच भी तटस्थ भाव से करना चाहिए, उसमें संलिप्त न होकर के तटस्थ भाव से उसकी जांच करना चाहिए। तो पूर्ण रूप से जांच के लिए हमें इस प्रकार के अपने चित्त को, अपने मन को तटस्थ रखना चाहिए। और जब तक कि हमें जांच पड़ताल के दौरान उत्तर न मिल जाए तब तक हमें केवल यही ठीक है, ये जो कहा गया वही ठीक है, इस प्रकार की सोच रख करके स्वीकार नहीं करनी चाहिए। हमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा जितना हो सके उतना अपने चित्त अर्थात दिमाग का उपयोग करना चाहिए, उसको ठीक तरह से जांचना चाहिए। तो नालंदा के महान विद्वान जो हुए हैं, यहाँ 17 विद्वानों का जिक्र किया गया है। उन 17 विद्वानों ने या उससे ज्यादा भी विद्वानों ने उन जितने भी प्रकार की जो शिक्षाएं दी हैं वो पूर्ण रूप से जांच पड़ताल के दौरान ही दी हैं। उन्होंने खुद भगवान बुद्ध की शिक्षाओं को अच्छी तरह से समझकर जांच करके ही उन्होंने उन पर ऊपर टिप्पणी दी है। तो बिना जांच किए उन्होंने किसी भी शिक्षा को स्वीकार नहीं किया। इन जांच करने वाले अर्थात तर्क के आधार पर शिक्षाओं को स्वीकार करने वाले विद्वानों में अक्सर नागार्जुन, आर्यदेव और खासकर जो माध्यमिक दर्शन के विद्वान लोग हुए हैं उन्होंने इस प्रकार की जांच पड़ताल की है। भगवान बुद्ध ने खुद ग्रंथों में लिखा है कि हे मेरे भिक्षुओं, मेरे अनुयायियों, मेरी शिक्षाओं को इसलिए मत मान लीजिए क्योंकि ये किसी विद्वान के द्वारा या किसी महापुरुष के द्वारा की गई है। इस मेरी शिक्षाओं को जांच के द्वारा, जांच पड़ताल के दौरान मानिए, तभी जा करके उसको स्वीकार करिए। इस प्रकार से देखा जा सकता है कि भगवान बुद्ध ने हम लोगों को या भगवान बुद्ध के अनुयायियों को पूर्ण रूप से खुली छूट दी है कि किस प्रकार के उनकी शिक्षाओं को हम समझ सकते हैं, अपने ज्ञान के आधार पर किस प्रकार से उसको समझा जा सकता है। तो नालंदा की जो शिक्षाएं हैं, मेरा भी जो शिक्षा या दीक्षा हुई है नालंदा परंपरा पर ही आधारित है। मैं बचपन से ही, जब मेरी आयु 7 या 8 वर्ष की थी, उसी समय से मैं भगवान बुद्ध के दर्शन नालंदा की शिक्षा पर आधारित होकर ही पढ़ता आया हूँ। इन ग्रंथों को मैंने पढ़ा है और तिब्बती परंपरा के अनुसार ऐसी परंपरा है कि इन ग्रंथों को मुझे मौजबाने याद करना पड़ता था, इन ग्रंथों को याद करना पड़ता था। तो इन विद्वानों के द्वारा जो ग्रंथ हैं उनको याद करने में, समझने में काफी दिक्कत हुई। उन्होंने मुझे काफी वजन दिया, काफी मेहनत करने को दी।
Then another reason. I think in 19th century, late 19th century, at the beginning of 20th century, you see some people, after they visit Tibet, they sort of notice, Tibetan, they really fond lamas. And the lamas also is a fond high throne. There are a lot of pujas like that. Then some lamas with a wife drink. So then those the Westerners, you see, who visited without knowing the real sort of teaching of Tibetan Buddhism, teaching or the real system of Tibetan Buddhism, then they simply call Lamaism. And also, you see, they do not understand about a tantric sort of system. It's difficult to understand. And the people, I think generally, without knowing the real meaning of Buddhist Tantrayana, they simply, you see, they love, you see, carry some sort of rituals like that. So therefore, some people, you see, say Tibetan Buddhism is not genuine, true Buddhism, but Lamaism. So therefore, the real Tibetan Buddhism introduced by 8th century Shantarakshita. He was 8th century, I think 7th century, 8th century. He was, I think, almost one of the top scholars and masters of Nalanda. So he invited by Tibetan emperor. He introduced Buddhism according to Nalanda tradition. So therefore, about 300 volumes eventually translated, mainly Sanskrit, and then also Pali, and maybe some Nepalese, and about 10, 15 volumes translated from Chinese, but the rest of the major sort of portion translation from Sanskrit, from India. So therefore, till now, we study rigorously these texts. And commentary wrote by Tibetan, I think a few thousand volumes. All, you see, based on Nalanda masters' writing. And of course, Buddha's own sort of teaching. We call Ganjur, that's Buddhist teaching, about 100 volumes. As far as Ganjur is concerned, I think more volumes in Chinese translation. Then commentary wrote by Indian masters, such as Nagarjuna, I think more volumes in Tibetan. Chinese seems less. But Ganjur, I think more in Chinese translation. So like that. So therefore, and then later, 그대로 그 저로 거래 조집해야 돼. 아, 조집 말해. 조집. 아, 조집. The 11th century, Dibongara Atisha, Bengali, also invited. Then Tibet already decentralized or disintegrated. So this shows our tradition come from Nalanda tradition. So therefore, I often sort of expressing, you Indians, historically, our guru. We are Chela. Truly. More precise, ancient Indians were our guru, not modern Indian. Modern Indians, too much westernized. Though, of course, your dress, Indian, but your mind, more westernized. I don't know, I joking. Of course, it's modern education, modern technology, these are very, very important as a country, and particularly India, over 1 billion population, and a lot of poverty there. We need more dynamic economic development. For that, modern technology, modern science, modern education are extremely important. But at the same time, you should not forget your 1,000-year-old, your real sort of knowledge here, I usually call modern education related with mainly material value. Ancient Indian education, Indian knowledge is mainly related with inner world. That should not neglect. So, modern Indian, little bit sort of neglect about that. So in any way, I often is telling, we are not only chela of ancient Indian guru, but also quite a reliable chela. Truly. While Guru's own land, see, a lot of sort of damage or a lot of sort of ups and downs. Then during those period, you see, we Tibetan kept intact all this knowledge. So it is quite sufficient to prove we are reliable chela. Isn't it? So now I would like to recite this prayer, this praising. Firstly, translate. Yes.
तो 20वीं शताब्दी के प्रारंभ से ही देखा गया है कि कुछ लोग, खासकर विदेश के लोग, जब चीन वो तिब्बत में आए तो वहाँ देखा कि यहाँ पर जो लामा परंपरा है या जो तिब्बती परंपरा है, तो उसको उन्होंने देखा और देखा कि कुछ लोग जो गुरु लोग हैं उच्च आसन पर बैठते हैं, पूजा करते हैं, यहाँ तक कि कुछ लामाओं के पत्नी भी होती हैं, शादीशुदा हैं, तो उन्होंने अलग अलग अर्थ उसके लगाने शुरू कर दिए। तो उनकी भी कमी नहीं थी, उनकी भी कोई गलती नहीं थी, हालांकि वो इस परंपरा को, इस व्यवस्था को समझ नहीं पाए, इस वजह से वो अलग अलग अर्थ लगाते रहे। तो कुछ लोग ऐसा भी कहते हैं कि बौद्ध धर्म, जो तिब्बत का जो बौद्ध धर्म है, वो वास्तविक बौद्ध धर्म नहीं है। उस परंपरा को वो ठीक से न समझ पाने के कारण उन्होंने इस प्रकार की टिप्पणी की, इस प्रकार की बातें की। तो खासकर अगर तिब्बत में बौद्ध धर्म की बात की जाए तो 8वीं शताब्दी से शुरू होती है। वहाँ पर भारत के अर्थात नालंदा विश्वविद्यालय के प्रकांड विद्वान भिक्षु संत रक्षित जी तिब्बत में गए और बौद्ध धर्म को यहाँ से ले गए और धीरे धीरे बौद्ध धर्म का परिचय कराया। जैसा कि सभी लोग जानते हैं कि संत रक्षित जी जो नालंदा विश्वविद्यालय के प्रकांड विद्वान थे, उन्होंने ही तिब्बत में जाकर के इस परंपरा की शुरुआत कराई और इस शुरुआत करने के बाद जितने भी जो ग्रंथ थे वो खासकर संस्कृत में हुआ करते थे, उन संस्कृत ग्रंथों से तिब्बती ग्रंथों में अनुवाद होने लगा और उन संस्कृत से लगभग 300 की संख्या में उनका अनुवाद हुआ। तो कुछ ग्रंथों का अनुवाद चीनी भाषा से भी हुआ और ज़्यादातर अगर देखा जाए, ज़्यादातर तिब्बती बौद्ध धर्म के ग्रंथों की संख्या देखे जाए तो वो संस्कृत से ज़्यादा है, ना कि चीनी भाषा से। टीकाओं के बारे में भी यहाँ जिक्र किया गया कि टीकाएं जो है तिब्बती भाषा में ज़्यादातर संस्कृत भाषा से की गई है। इनकी संख्या हजारों की संख्या में है और इसके बाद भी जो कांगी और तांगी अर्थात शास्त्र और सूत्र हैं, इनकी भी जो अनुवाद है वो तिब्बती भाषा में बहुत रूप से हुआ है, प्रकांड रूप से हुआ है। तो भारतीय विद्वानों की टीकाएं हैं, उनको भी देखा जाए तो उन टीकाओं का भी अनुवाद तिब्बती भाषा में प्रचुर मात्रा में देखा जा सकता है और चीनी भाषा से भी काफी टीकाओं का अनुवाद है। तो 11वीं शताब्दी के अंत में या 11वीं शताब्दी में भारत के प्रकांड विद्वान अतिश दीपांकर श्रीज्ञान, जो कि बंगाल के रहने वाले थे और तिब्बत में गए, वहाँ पर उन्होंने बौद्ध धर्म का विस्तार किया। फिर उसके बाद 11वीं या 12वीं शताब्दी के बाद से वहाँ तिब्बत में जो बौद्ध धर्म धीरे धीरे उभास होने लगा। तो हम कह सकते हैं कि हमारी जो परंपरा है अर्थात तिब्बत की जो परंपरा है वो नालंदा परंपरा है। मैं हमेशा आप भारतीयों से कहता हूँ कि आप लोग हमारे गुरु हैं, केवल गुरु ही नहीं हैं, आप लोग हमारे गुरु हैं, हम लोग चेला हैं और हम केवल चेला ऐसे ही नहीं हैं, काफी भरोसेमंद चेला हैं। और खासकर अब जो हम गुरु और चेला की बात कहते हैं तो वो खासकर प्राचीन भारतीय जो परंपरा रही है, जो ज्ञान है, जो दर्शन है, उसके अनुसार हम लोग चेला हैं और आप लोग गुरु हैं। और आज की परंपरा में देखा जाए तो आज जो आज आप लोग जो हमारे गुरु हैं वो ज़्यादातर पाश्चात्य अर्थात विदेशी जो वेस्टर्न सिस्टम है उसमें ज़्यादातर ढलते जा रहे हैं। तो मैं ये नहीं कहता हूँ कि आप लोगों को वेस्टर्न या जो हमारी पाश्चात्य सभ्यता है उसका स्वीकार नहीं करना चाहिए, का आपको स्वीकार करना चाहिए, क्योंकि भारत को भी विकास करने की आवश्यकता है, भारत को भी आगे बढ़ने की आवश्यकता है, चाहे वो विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में हो, शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में हो, किसी भी क्षेत्र में हो, आप लोगों को भी विकास करने की परम आवश्यकता है। लेकिन जो हमारी जो हजारों वर्ष पूर्व की परंपरा है, जो हमारी प्राचीन परंपरा है, जो हमारी बौद्धिक परंपरा है, उस परंपरा को आप लोगों को नहीं भूलना चाहिए, उसको संजोकर रखना चाहिए, सीखना चाहिए। क्योंकि जो प्राचीन परंपरा है वो आंतरिक दुनिया है, वो हमारे आंतरिक दुनिया को के लिए लाभदायक है, हमारे ज्ञान के लिए लाभदायक है, उसको संजोकर रखना चाहिए, उसको आप लोगों को नकारना नहीं चाहिए। तो इसलिए मैं हमेशा यही कहता हूँ कि हम लोग काफ़ी भरोसेमंद चेला हैं। इसलिए और एक दूसरी बात कि अभी तक हम तिब्बती लोगों ने आपकी जो परंपरा है, आपकी जो संस्कृति है, वो हजारों वर्षों तक ठीक से संजो करके रखा हुआ है, उसको आप लोगों को आगे आकर के और विस्तार करना चाहिए।
Yeah, that's all. I think at the beginning, first I would like you to recite, or say the mantra of Heart Sutra. Masam jemi shiro pare jin maje menga nage ngo ni so so ran ye shi chi tusum jave yong la cha se lo daya tha gade para sam gade buddhi so daya tha gade para sam gade buddhi so daya tha gade para sam gade buddhi so ha Nendu shiwa zono kunshi nijin nyeshe tense kanye dan dola pemba jena lamshi nijin jiden tenro zab kanda yanda dembe dono namba kunde nago nisungwa nendu shanshu sempe sanje jini yumde la cha se lo kage tense dewa rungakwa meba jemeba cheba meba tam 오메바 드메바 다데데메 데제메 저번에 제시된 소베 산예만 담바달라 차세로 Now recite that. pindujudin
तो सबसे पहले
벽에 있던 게 벽에 전 누구 거래 이제 페이지 가 Okay, now we will recite Tibetan. You those, prefer read English, then English translation. Then those, they prefer Hindi, Hindi translation. So all three languages simultaneously. So then in the whole, you see, strange sound. Okay, let us read now. Dola Penshi Tuji.
The God of gods, arisen from the compassionate wish of benefiting wandering beings, has attained transcendent protection, abandonment, realization, and liberates sentient beings through teaching. Dependent arising, I bow my head to you, the conqueror son amongst teachers. I call to mind esteemed Nagarjuna, who has prophesied, introduced the Madhyamaka system, an excellent path, and who was skilled in clarifying the meaning of suchness, free of extremes, the intention of the mother of the conquerors. Through the profound logical presentations of dependent arising, I call to mind the Bodhisattva Aryadhiva, who's his principal spiritual son, peerlessly learned and accomplished, who traversed the ocean of Buddhist and other philosophical systems, who is the glorious crowning jewel amongst all the holders of Nagarjuna's teachings. I call to mind esteemed Buddha Palita, who clarified the ultimate meaning of dependent arising, the thought of the superior, the essential point of the profound existence as mere designation and name, and who has ascended to the utmost state of accomplishment. I call to mind Acharya Bhaviveka, who introduced a philosophical system that refuted such extremes as truly existent production, and yet accepted the shared perception of valid cognizers and external objects. I call to mind Chandrakirti, who promulgated the complete path of the sutras and tantras, who was skilled in expounding the profound and vast middle way system in which appearance and intelligence eliminated two extremes through dependent arising and the merely conditionality of things. I call to mind the Bodhisattva Shantideva, who was skilled in teaching the host of fortunate disciples a truly marvelous path of great compassion with the versatile means and reasons of the profound and vast. Profound and the best. I call to mind the great Abhat Ashandarakshita, who introduced the middle way to suit the disciples' mental dispositions, was well versed in expounding the rationale of middle way and valid cognition, and disseminated the teaching of Conqueror in the land of snows. I call to mind esteemed Kamaleshla, who thoroughly explained how to meditate systematically on the middle way through free thought, free from extremes, and the union of meditative presence and special insight according to sutras and tantras, and flawlessly clarified the Conqueror's doctrine in the land of snows. I call to mind esteemed Asanga, who Maitreya inspired and looked after, who was adept in disseminating all the Mahayana sets of discourses, who revealed the vast path and prophesied, blazed the trail of mind-only system. I call to mind esteemed Acharya Vasubandhu, who by maintaining the doubly empty system of the 7 treatises of Abhidharma clarified the philosophical theories of Abhashika, Satantika, and Vijnanavada as a foremost sage, renowned as the second omniscient one. I call to mind esteemed Dignaga, the logician who gave us the discerning eye of fine discrimination by thoroughly opening 100 epistemological doors to reveal the system of Buddha's scriptures through the power of tranquil logic. I call to mind the esteemed Dharmakirti, who fathomed the vital points of Buddhism and other systems of knowledge, granting conviction in the vast profound paths of the Swatantika Chittamatra, and who was adept at expounding marvelous ways with the Dharma. I call to mind his esteemed Vipmukti Sena, who lit the lamp eliminating the meaning of the ornament of clarization in accordance with the Madhyamaka middle way system, free from the extremes of existence and non-existence, the meaning of the perfection of wisdom as it came from the Sangat brothers. I call to mind esteemed Haribhatra, who clarified the three mothers, the supreme perfection of wisdom scriptures, in line with the Maitreya-nath's split instructions, and who Conqueror prophesied would expound the meaning of the mother. I call to mind the esteemed Gunaprabha, excelling in his stability and learning, who integrated the intentions of the 100,000 categories of Vinaya and in accordance with the Mula Sarvasavada system thoroughly and unmistakably explains individual liberation. I call to mind esteemed Shakyaprabha, the ideal Vinaya holder, master of the treasure of the three precepts qualities, who in order to ensure the longevity of the flawless Vinaya teaching thoroughly explained what the vast scriptures meant. I call to mind Jo Adisha, the kind Lord, who caused the Conqueror's teaching to flourish in the land of snows, who expounded the path of the three individuals, the doctrines of the vast and profound, the complete teaching of the Conqueror, making such invocations with an unflinching pure mind to these exceedingly fine sages who are the ornament of the world and the source of Bond Stupendous elegant teachings. May I be blessed that I may mature mind stream and achieve liberation. And so forth.
Why we need inner peace or inner development. It is quite obvious now, according to medical scientists, calm mind, peaceful mind is very, very important for our health. Constant fear, constant anger, too much stress, very bad for our health. So now, the various different spiritual traditions actually bring inner peace. how I think firstly, I may explain this way. Entire sentient beings, sentient being means the phenomena which have feeling or experience of pains and pleasure. That we call sentient being. And the simjen said semda demba. Semi pamboda semden sherwa. This is the entire sentient beings. Because you see they have the experience, pains and pleasure. So naturally one desire to get more pleasure, more happiness, and naturally one desire get rid of suffering or pains. Insects, birds, animals, human beings. Even you see those traditions, you see, accept different form of life, like devas and devis. These also, if they want happy life, do not want suffering. So entire sentient being want happiness. Now, if those sentient beings which we can see on this planet, animals, birds, because they want happy life, do not want suffering. So their main sort of concern, because lack of intelligence. So their sort of their real concern is sensorial level pains and pleasure. Like dogs, cats, and some birds. Although they have some sort of limited intelligence, but very, very limited. So their more concern is immediate thing. So sensory level. So long, seeing something nice, not sort of frightened. Then they feel okay. A nice sound. Anyone who have some experience, you say, since my childhood, I kept some small dogs, upsaw dogs. So I noticed this, when strange sound come, then sometimes you see these dogs go that way. That I don't know. What is the reason? Their brain level, what kind of thing? Usual sound, of course, even if their name, they know. Oh, sure, come. That's the Tibetan word, sure. Come. They come, approach. And sort of showing, the affection. They also licking like that. So normal sound, you see, they, some word they understand even, I think. Normal sound, okay. But some strange sound come. And I remember, you see, one time, what called flew, pew, like that. Then the dog. So I don't know. And then some sort of frightened sort of noise come. They immediately say hide or run away like that. So, and of course, because of the smell, taste, and touch. Touch including sex. That's reproduction, like that. So this animal. We also, you see, some kind of animal. So we also, you see, those sensorial levels to experience. Very important. However, we human beings, because of this intelligence, very, very sophisticated intelligence, so that intelligence also is a source of happiness and source of worry. Because of this intelligence, you see, we not only concerned about day-to-day life, but next week, next month, next year, next decade, even next generation, or next century. Also, you see, because of our intelligence, we have very powerful sort of memory about past. Then also, since we have written language, therefore, you see, even 1,000 years sort of as the event we can learn. So because of this very powerful memory and visions about the future, you see, brings mental level, satisfaction, worry, anxiety, stress. These things happen. Much bigger than animal. So because of this intelligence, we human beings, you see, we develop language and script. And then eventually, or I think even maybe before even, humanity, you see, develop faith. So concept of God, concept of devas and devis, that happen when we're passing through some difficulties beyond our control. Then we develop some idea or some mysterious power there that will help us. So faith develop. Animal world, no faith. So faith, human intelligence, some relations. So it's immense help. Now faith, basically two levels. Theistic faith, religion. The fundamental sort of faith concept is creator. God creates all these things. Another, like Sankhyaism, Jainism, Buddhism, all ancient Indian spirituality, no concept of creator. So two different things. So theistic religion, non-theistic religion, fundamentally it's two groups. See, both really immense help, both systems, immense help to humanity. Not only in the past, but even today and the future also. I think at least several centuries, I think these different faiths will remain. Because, see, it helps human being. Now the concept of creator, or again, first I think you translate.
हमें आंतरिक शांति की बहुत ही ज़रूरत है, जैसा कि सभी लोग इसकी प्रयास करते रहते हैं कि हमें आंतरिक शांति प्राप्त होनी चाहिए। विज्ञान के अनुसार देखा जाए तो आंतरिक शांति को किस प्रकार से प्राप्त किया जा सकता है, उन्होंने भी इस चीज का, इस बात का जिक्र किया है कि अगर हमारा चित्त और मन शांत होता है तो हमारा शरीर भी शांत रहता है, स्थिर रहता है। हमारे अंदर बहुत सारी चिंता, भय और क्रोध इत्यादि हमारे जीवन के लिए, हमारे आंतरिक शांति के लिए बहुत ही हानिकारक होते हैं। तो विभिन्न परंपराओं में देखें तो विभिन्न परंपराओं में भी आंतरिक शांति को किस प्रकार से प्राप्त किया जा सकता है, किस प्रकार से प्राप्त करना चाहिए, उसी के बारे में बहुत सारे व्याख्यान दिए गए हैं। बहुत सारे उन्होंने ग्रंथों के अर्थात बहुत सारे सिद्धांतों की रचना की है। जितने भी धर्म या जितने प्रकार की भी परंपराएं हैं, सभी लोग आंतरिक सुख को किस प्रकार से प्राप्त किया जाए इसकी बात करते हैं। तो इससे हम सब जानते हैं कि जितने भी सत्व हैं, जितने भी जीव हैं, वो सभी लोग सुख का अनुभव करना चाहते हैं। और सत्व उन लोगों को कहते हैं जो कि सुख और दुख का अनुभव कर सकें। दूसरी भाषा में, तिब्बती भाषा में इसको सेमचेन अर्थात जो चित्त धारक हो, जिसके अंदर चित्त हो, मन हो, उसको सत्व कहा गया है। तो सभी ज्यादा से ज्यादा सुख की अनुभूति करना चाहते हैं, ज्यादा से ज्यादा सुख चाहते हैं। कोई भी सत्व या जीव ऐसा नहीं है कि जो कि दुख की कल्पना करे या दुख चाहे, सभी सुख की कल्पना करना चाहते हैं। यहाँ तक कि कीड़े हों, चाहे चिड़िया हों, जानवर हों, मनुष्य आदि सभी लोग सुख की प्राप्ति के लिए प्रयास करते रहते हैं। दूसरी योनियों में देखा जाए कि देव देवता या अन्य प्रकार के जो सत्व हैं, वो भी सुख की कामना करते हैं, वो भी चाहते हैं कि हमें सुख प्राप्त हो सके। तो जिन सत्वों को हम लोग अपनी आंखों से देख सकते हैं, जो भी सत्व इस ग्रह पर हैं, वो सभी लोग सुख की अनुभूति करना चाहते हैं, सुख चाहते हैं। तो चित्त के अनुसार अगर देखा जाए तो इसमें भी दो प्रकार के या इसमें विभेद होते हैं। तो कुछ लोगों में कम बुद्धि होती है, किन्हीं सत्वों में ज्यादा बुद्धि होती है। जैसा कि जानवरों को देखा जाए तो उनमें कम बुद्धि होती है, कम दिमाग होता है। उसके विपरीत भी जो मनुष्य लोग हैं उनमें ज्यादा बुद्धि अर्थात दिमाग होता है। तो मैं एक उदाहरण देना चाहता हूँ कि बचपन में हमारे घर के आसपास या जहाँ पर मैं रहता था, तो वहाँ पर छोटे छोटे जानवर, कुत्ते या बिल्ली खा के हुआ करते थे। तो उनको मैं देखता था, या जब मैं उनके प्रति प्यार दिखाता था तो वो मेरे पास आते थे, बहुत आराम से अपनी दो मिलाते हुए या फिर आसानी से मेरे पास आ जाया करते थे। लेकिन उसी समय अगर हम अजीब सी आवाज निकालें या उनको डराएं या धमकाएं तो वो भाग जाया करते थे। तो इस प्रकार से देख सकते हैं कि जानवर भी या जो छोटे छोटे सत्व हैं या जीव हैं, वो भी किस प्रकार से स्पर्श का, सुगंध का, प्रेम का, स्नेह का आदि का अनुभव कर सकते हैं। तो ये हम सब लोग में भी अनुभव करने की क्षमता है। लेकिन अंतर यहाँ है कि हमारे अंदर या मनुष्य के अंदर जो बुद्धि है, जो सोचने की क्षमता है, समझने की क्षमता है, उन जानवरों से कहीं ज्यादा होती है। और इसीलिए हम लोग भी इसीलिए हम लोगों की या मनुष्य लोगों की ज्यादा से ज्यादा सुख की अनुभूति करना अर्थात ज्यादा इच्छाएं होती हैं। हम मनुष्य लोग अगले दिन, अगले सप्ते या फिर अगली वर्ष, अगले जीवन की इत्यादि प्रकार का जो समय है, इस इत्यादि प्रकार की जो कल्पनाएं हैं या फिर हमारे आने वाले समय की जो कल्पनाएं हैं, वो हम लोग कर सकते हैं। जबकि जो अन्य सत्व हैं, जीव हैं, जानवर, उनमें इस प्रकार की क्षमता नहीं होती है। तो ये जितनी भी प्रकार की जो हमारी एक तरह की प्लानिंग है, वो हमारी बुद्धि के अंतर होने की वजह से ही किया जा सकता है। मनुष्य में बौद्धिक क्षमता होने की वजह से ही हजारों वर्षों पूर्व जो बातें कही हैं, जो दर्शन, जो ज्ञान दिया गया है, वो आज भी हम लोग उसको पढ़ पा रहे हैं, समझ पा रहे हैं। क्योंकि ये ज्ञान और दर्शन मनुष्य ने अपनी बुद्धि के हिसाब से, अपनी प्रज्ञा के अनुसार ही लिखित रूप से संजो करके रखी है, जिससे कि हम उसको समझ सकते हैं, उसको जान सकते हैं। तो हम लोगों में जो भय है, जो क्रोध है, जानवरों की अपेक्षा ज्यादा होता है, क्योंकि हमारे अंदर सोच विचार करने की क्षमता उनसे कहीं ज्यादा होता है। तो हम मनुष्यों ने भाषा का भी विकास किया है, उसको लिखित रूप में किया है, बोलचाल की भाषा का भी विकास किया है। तो इन सब की वजह से ही हमारे अंदर ज्यादा से ज्यादा श्रद्धा उत्पन्न हुई है। जब उस दर्शन, उस ज्ञान को संजो कर रखा है, तो उसमें हमारे अंदर लोगों के प्रति, भगवान के प्रति, देवताओं के प्रति या फिर भगवान या जो इष्ट देव है उनके प्रति श्रद्धा जागृत हुई है। तो कुछ लोग ऐसा मानते हैं कि कोई अदृश्य शक्ति है जो इस भवचक्र को चलाती है, या फिर जो भी हमारे जीवन का जो उद्धार करने वाली है, जीवन को चलाने वाली कोई अदृश्य शक्ति है। मगर अगर हम देखें कि जानवरों के संसार में अर्थात जानवरों की योनि में इस प्रकार की श्रद्धा देखने को नहीं मिलती है। वो लोग कोई देव या देवता इस प्रकार की श्रद्धा हो, इस प्रकार को देखने को नहीं मिलता है। तो श्रद्धा को भी यहाँ पर दो भागों में बांट के देखा गया है कि कुछ लोग कर्ता को मानने वाले होते हैं, कुछ लोग मानते हैं कि ईश्वर जितनी भी सृष्टि है, जो भी ये भवचक्र है या संसार या दुनिया है, वो कोई करता है, उसकी वजह से ही ये चलता आ रहा है। और दूसरी व्यवस्था में इस सिद्धांत को मानने वाले नहीं है, इसकी श्रद्धा नहीं है। वो लोग कहते हैं कि कोई भी कर्ता नहीं है। इस प्रकार की परंपरा को मानने वाले बौद्ध धर्म के अनुयायी, सांख्यवाद के अनुयायी और जैन धर्म के अनुयायी लोग हैं, जो ऐसी श्रद्धा रखते हैं, ऐसा मानते हैं कि कोई भी कर्ता नहीं है। तो श्रद्धा करने वालों को इस प्रकार से मोटा मोटी रूप में देखा जाए कि दो वर्गों में बांट दिया गया है। और दोनों ही परंपरा के लोगों ने अभी तक इस मानव जगत के हित के लिए बहुत सारे कार्य किए हैं, बहुत सारे लोगों को लाभ दिया है। उनकी श्रद्धाएं अलग अलग हैं, उनकी मान्यताएं अलग अलग हैं, लेकिन लोगों को मदद करने की बात तो वो लोगों ने बहुत सारे लोगों की अभी तक मदद करते आए हैं।
Finish. Okay. So, theistic religion, very, very powerful, very, I think very helpful. You see, those people who single-pointed faith towards God as a creator, and different name, of course, the God or Allah, or Brahma, it's a different sort of words today. So ultimately, you see, created by God, like that. So that, firstly, you see, when we describe God, infinite love. So our ultimate source or creator, we are such infinite love. So then also as a creator, and according to Christianity, this very life created by God, given us by God. So therefore, really like our Father. So some kind of very, very close feeling, very intimacy. So more intimacy, sort of feeling, more willingness to follow God's path. Now then, what is God's path? Practice of love. And in order to protect, or in order to successful practice of love, we also need tolerance, forgiveness, and contentment, self-discipline. So all religions, all major religious traditions, you see, teach us this practice. So, in order to carry this practice faithfully, seriously, the concept of God, Creator, I think very, very powerful. Then, also since, you see, God creates us, so therefore, we also have some kind of spark of God. Buddhists say Buddha nature, seat of Buddha. So according to Christianity or according to theistic religion, yes, some kind of spark of God. Wonderful. Then non-theistic religions. See, more emphasis about our own sort of say, action, karma. If we create a positive action, and we get positive result. Now here, the according to non-theistic religion, the real sort of what's the demarcation, positive and negative, or good or bad, is on the basis of the result. Any action, any motivation which brings joyfulness, peaceful, that we want that. So therefore, these actions or motivations consider positive. Any actions, any sort of way of thinking, ultimately bring disaster or unhappiness. Since we do not want that, so that consider negative. There is no absolute positive and negative, now according to non-theistic sort of tradition. So everything depends on the result. Result, good, beneficial, then the causes are good. Because of that, you see, under different circumstances, one under certain circumstances, something harmful, different circumstances can be helpful. So we have to judge according to the reality. So that's the non-theistic religious sort of, or say the concept, law of causality. We call law of causality. I want to mention here some of my friend, the follower of Dr. Ambedkar. You see, in their ear, the word of karma is something very negative. So because, you see, there is some ruling class, Brahmin, ruling class. You see, they use the word of theory of karma. Oh, you born low class due to your karma, so you can't change. So, some people feel karma is something negative. Actually, karma is action. So sometimes we depend also. Sometimes quite useful, quite helpful person who more or less lazy person. So, now everything due to karma. Better to relax. That's wrong, absolutely wrong. And some sort of difficult situation happen. We blame karma. Wrong. Who creates karma? Karma means action. So who creates action? We ourselves. Due to certain previous sort of action, some difficulties there, now we must work hard and create more forceful karma or action than the previous negative action, then become weak. We can change the result of karma. Even karma or action, you see, can neutralize where? One negative karma already committed. So its own sort of destination already there. But more stronger positive action happen. Positive karma comes. Then that negative karma now neutralize, no longer no longer is causing or produce the negative result. So everything depends on us, on ourselves. So Buddha, now according to Buddhism, it's a Buddha state. Buddhahood, nobody can give you. The seed of Buddha, no need to seek from someone. You already have. So Buddha state, you are your own master. Your future entirely depends on yourself. If you do something wrong, Buddha cannot protect you. Buddha acting like teacher. Simply teach. So real protector is yourself. You yourself as a master, no one else. So that's Buddha stated. Because of this law of karma, everything depends on oneself. So that way of approach, very, very powerful. So, according to different mental disposition, to some people, the single faith, single-pointed faith towards God as a creator, very helpful. To some people, according to their own mental disposition, the concept of law of causality is more effective. Clear. So therefore, you see these theistic religion, non-theistic religions, the philosophical field is differences, but doesn't matter to person according to suitability. To some people, the theistic religion is much more powerful, much more effective. To some people, non-theistic religion is more helpful. Similarly, within non-theistic religion, now concept of Atma and Anatma, there's a demarcation between Buddhism and non-Buddhism. So all non-Buddhism, non-Buddhist tradition, all is accept theory of soul. Meaning is something independent from this body and mind. So usually we say, oh, my body, my mind. So still there is self who owned or possess this body and mind. When we die, the soul remains. So that's the Atma. So according those traditions who accept rebirth theory, then body and mind with this body no longer continuation. Soul, Atma there. So Atma take rebirth. Buddhists say, no Atma. No Atma or Anatma means no independent self. Some people, you see, misunderstand Anatma theory, non-soul theory. Means, you see, not at all existence of self. It's so foolish. Buddha himself also is called, so self is there. And in fact, you see, nowadays the teaching, you see, very much emphasis about altruism. If there's no self, then there's no meaning, practice of altruism. Respect other self and try to reduce self-centered sort of attitude for interest for oneself. So self is there. Then what is the meaning of non-self? Means no independent self. That means self designated on the combination of this body and mind. So therefore, we can tell male self, female self. Self. So we can say, when I was young, I can say, according this body, young or healthy, I can say, when I was young. If self is completely independent from this body, then it's difficult to identify as a male and female. Female's Atma and male's Atma, both the same, permanent, independent, no change, isn't it? Then difficult to say, when I was young. when I was sick. No. So that means self is there, but self designated on the combination of body and mind. Otherwise, you can't say educated person or non-educated person. So I think the scheduled caste, as far as Atma is concerned, same. Brahman Atma and the scheduled caste of the Atma is same, like that. So only social sort of level. Otherwise, you see, I think God, if you accept the Creator, and particularly the Brahma, from four faces, see these what called because of four caste. Same source. How can make sort of distinction? A caste from front face is something superior or something. So these are social aspect, cultural aspect. I usually say, because of the belief, and also telling people, all major religious tradition, three aspects: religious aspect, a philosophical aspect, cultural aspect. Religious aspect, all say same: love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline. So all major religious tradition, same. So very helpful to humanity. Philosophical field, different sort of philosophical views. Then cultural aspect. You see, when the teaching, the particular teaching start, the condition of the society, the way of life, I think makes some differences. It seems to see when Jainism and Buddhism start in India, a lot of animal sacrifice, I was told. So because of that, Jainism, Buddhism, both very much emphasis vegetarianism. So because the social sort of circumstances, it need some special effort. So I feel, you see, the Quran, like the Sharia law, when Muhammad, you see, give teaching, they are nomad in Arab, that part of the world, you see, more nomad. So maybe, could be more crimes. So in the teaching, he also, you see, mentioned some sort of rule how to deal with these criminal people. I think like that. So therefore, and also I was told, you see, in Quran also is some mention about the dealing with serf samarbe, serf, isn't it? So these, I think, because of this actual circumstances, so that we should consider cultural aspect. I think Buddhism basically is give equal male and the female. So bhikshu and the bhikshunis, Buddha give. However, when we together, bhikshu, the bhikshu should first or senior. Even so, the kasoda lava the kaloma lava kambayine chishukta. This one. So therefore, these, I think, because of the social sort of condition. So I think if we, so therefore, you see three aspects: religious aspect, philosophical aspect, cultural aspect. So all major religious traditions, you see, have same potential to provide inner peace. I think theistic mainly through practice of love and faith. Non-theistic religion, more sort of explanation about the cause and result, causality, more explanation, like Sangya philosophy, 25 sort of points. Jizo kasa, jizo sati. Primal factor. And then Atma. So that Brahma factor is almost creator. It's something, unconditioned, like that. Then Atma. So rest of 23, the explanation how life starts, or samsara comes, like that. So a lot of explanation about law of causality. Jainism as well. Then Buddhism, a lot of explanation. So some my friend, some Western author, they say Buddhism is not a religion, but rather science of mind. It's quite true. A lot of explanation. So actually, ancient Indian sort of tradition, a lot of explanation about mind, emotion, because practice of shamatha and vipassana. Shila is common. Theistic religion, non-theistic religion. Moral conduct, self-discipline. But then, what's our word? What time should finish? 11:30. Okay. So then you see the tradition, Buddhism and non-Buddhism, ancient Indian tradition. You see, those traditions include practice of single-pointed mind and insight. Then naturally you need more knowledge about system of mind. How to develop single-pointed mind, shamatha. So what is the opposition? What are the disturbances? What are the causes of these disturbances? What's the antidote? These things. So naturally, a lot of explanation about mind. So I usually call ancient Indian psychology is very, very rich, highly developed. So modern Western psychology, compare ancient Indian psychology, is something like kindergarten level. Really. As a result of now, over 30 years, I have a series of discussions with scientists, mainly 4 fields: cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So, quantum physics, the Madhyamaka philosophy's view, very similar. Or Chitta Mantra, certain sort of way, things, external things does not exist like that. So one time, Raja Ramana, Indian, the nuclear physicist, so he told me one time in New Delhi, on our meeting, you see, he mentioned he found the concept of quantum physics in some Nagarjuna's sort of text he found. So he, as an Indian, he feels proud. The quantum physics in the modern world, something new. But in this country, 2,000 years ago, already found that concept. He told me that. So quantum physics, very, very helpful. Now, these days, when I give talk about emptiness, shunyata, the first step to understand the shunyata is quantum physics. Very good. So investigate. You can't find existence from objectively. So that's exactly these Buddhist sort of, the ancient Buddhist sort of thought, Buddhist sort of concept, similar. Then, of course, the cosmology and biology, or these many of these things really useful to us to learn from modern scientific findings. Like Abhidhamma Koshakarika mentioned about particles and these things, but compare modern sort of the scientific sort of finding. Those sort of concepts mentioned in Abhidhamma Koshakarika, quite superficial, quite rough. That I don't know that word. Okay. Oh, basic. Okay. So like that. So therefore, you see, contact or dialogue with modern scientists, immense benefit, mutual benefit. For them, Buddhist psychology or ancient Indian psychology, they found immensely useful. A lot of information about emotion, about mind, how to tackle emotions, like that. So, you see the real sort of disturbance about our inner peace is this destructive emotion. Injection, not answer. Or tranquilizer, not answer. Or drugs, of course, worst. And alcohol, just temporary. Drunk, then remain like that. No longer much sort of stress there. But when drunk, gradually the drunkenness gradually disappear, and then stress or worry still there. So therefore, these sort of this mental level worry, stress, cannot eliminate or reduce by physical means. The mental levels of worry or fear or anger, these things must deal with mental level wisdom, like that, prajna. So that's the only way. So in order to do that, you see, you should know whether believer or non-believer. Everybody, you see, want healthy body, isn't it? Even anti-religious people also, you see, want also take care about their physical health. So whether believe religion or not, you see, I think it is really worthwhile to know more about the system of emotion. Then much easier, better to deal these disturbances in mind, like that. So, both now conclusion, both you see theistic religion, non-theistic religion, all very, very helpful to bring inner peace. So we must respect all major religious traditions. Religious harmony is very essential. Now, India, Bharat, this country, over 2,000 years, all major religious traditions live together here. That's really India's greatness. One time, Advani, I have some sort of discussion. Advani told me the very reason of successful democracy in this country is 1,000 years, you see, the practice of ahimsa and respect others' right. So not only respect different religious tradition, but also respect non-believer. So politicians, when the election time is a little harsh word, but after sort of finish, you see that, so no problem. I really remember, you see, when Indira Gandhi ji, you see, through election, she defeated Morarji Desai, or these, they take the power very smoothly. No single shot. Now, the recent election also, you see, the BJP, I think, really, won greatly like that. So these things, I think, over billion population, 1.2 billion population, most populated democratic country, I think democracy really profoundly sort of established.